I personally witnessed a girl from the art class being raped by a man dressed in bizarre clothing. I stepped in to save her and called the police. But the next day, she turned things around and accused me of raping her. She even accused me of forcing her to give false testimony the day before. Afterward, I was taken away by the police and lost my guaranteed admission to Peking University. My father, who was disabled, wrote a letter in his own blood to prove my innocence, and ended his life in front of the girl's house. Due to insufficient evidence, I was eventually released, but I had already lost my spot at Peking University and missed the college entrance exams. My life was essentially ruined. For half a year, I drifted through life in a daze, until one day I saw that same girl holding hands with the men who had attacked her. Furious, I rushed over and confronted her, demanding to know why she had repaid kindness with betrayal. The attacker pushed me, and I was hit by a speeding car. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the night of the incident. Chapter 1. Don't touch me, or I'll scream. Help! Somebody help me! Is anyone going to save me? I should be dead, so why can I still hear the cries for help from half a year ago? Not far away, in the bushes, a man dressed in bizarre clothes was assaulting a helpless woman. The scene wasn't just familiar, it was exactly the same. I stood frozen on the roadside. A car flashed its hazard lights and honked at me. Snapping out of my daze, I hurried to the other side of the road. In my last life, I saw Tiffany from the art class being assaulted. Overwhelmed by a sense of justice, I rushed over and threw my backpack at the man's head. The man held his head with one hand, pulled up his pants with the other, cursed as he left, and still found time to threaten me. Vincent from class 1. Right, I'll remember you. You just wait. It turned out to be the campus bully, Thomas. I didn't take his words seriously. I took off my shirt to cover Tiffany, comforted her, and encouraged her to call the police. When I got home, I told my dad about my heroic deed. My dad had lost a leg back in the day for standing up for what's right, but he never regretted it. He patted me on the shoulder with pride, saying, "You're truly my son. Good job." But the next day at school, Tiffany brought the police to arrest me. She truly lived up to being a drama student. Her crying was so pitiful. It broke everyone's heart. Yesterday it was Vincent who assaulted me. He also threatened me. He said if I told anyone, my whole family would die. She sobbed while glaring at me with hatred. The worst part is, he tried to play the victim, made me give false testimony, and even wanted my family to publicly give him a banner of honor in front of the entire school. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, completely stunned. It wasn't until I was taken away by the police that I finally reacted. It wasn't me. I chased that man away and comforted you. How could you repay kindness with betrayal? Her eyes were red as she continued to cry. A girl's innocence is everything. I wouldn't joke about this. Everyone thought she made sense. Chapter 2. I became the universally condemned rapist. 3 people repeating a lie can make others believe it's true, let alone when almost everyone sides with her. The one from the disadvantaged group. Netizens cyberbullied me and my father. They even twisted the story of my father's heroic act, saying he only saved that child back then because he knew the child came from a rich family and wanted to gain something. I lost my guaranteed admission to Peking University and was expelled from school. My father wrote a letter in his own blood and committed suicide in front of Tiffany's house. Public opinion exploded. The police reopened the case and I was released as innocent. But no university would accept me anymore. More importantly, I had lost my only family, my father. I drifted through life in a daze for half a year. Then one day, at the entrance of a residential area, I saw Tiffany walking hand in hand with the men who had assaulted her. Furious, I rushed over and questioned her about why she had repaid kindness with betrayal. She looked indifferent. I'm just a nobody. How could I fight against the heir of the Kim group? If I didn't do what he told me, my whole family would be dead. I had no choice but to frame you. I shouted. You ruined my entire life. Do you know that? Aren't you still alive? What's the big deal about going to Peking University? In the end, you'd still end up working for rich people. But my dad is dead. She showed no guilt at all. Everyone dies eventually. Dying early is reincarnating early. I was so angry I grabbed her by the throat. The campus bully, Thomas Kim, who had been silent until now, grabbed me by the collar. Poor loser. Don't touch my girlfriend. He shoved me hard. I was thrown into the path of a speeding car, which sent me flying onto the curb where I died. Now, hearing the cries for help nearby, I laughed coldly. I won't be foolish this time. Chapter 3. I went to the night market. My dad was busy selling grilled sausages to customers, and I rushed over to help him. My mom died giving birth to me, and my dad never remarried. After his leg was broken, no company would hire him, and he refused to accept help from the person he had saved. Every night, he ran a stall at the night market, selling grilled sausages, supporting me through school. Seeing his thin, busy figure filled me with heartache. Last life, I ruined everything for you. This life, I won't let it happen again. I will turn the situation around, get into the best university, land the best job, and let you live a good, peaceful life. But things didn't go as I hoped. The next day at the school gate, Tiffany grabbed me and slapped me hard. "Why did you ignore me last night?" I took a deep breath and slapped her back. As a guy, my strength was much greater. She was almost stunned, covering her face. You dare hit me. I'm not some pushover. Do I have to endure it just because you hit me? Why didn't you help me yesterday? I don't know what you're talking about. Classes are about to start. Please stop bothering me. I replied coldly and distantly, clutching my books as I walked inside. She rushed up behind me, snatched my books, and stomped on them, screaming, "Are you working with him? Are you spying on me for him? You're disgusting. Just like him. You both deserve to die." I pushed her away, bent down to pick up my books. "I have no idea what you're talking about. Because you ignored me. You ruined my entire life. Don't you realize you were wrong?" She vented all her anger on me, like a raging bull, charging at me, pushing me down and clawing at my face. Of course, I wouldn't give her the chance. I fought back with both hands and feet, pushing her away directly. She was furious and lunged at me again. Passing students rushed over to separate us and called the dean. Chapter 4. The dean was tall and dark-skinned, and all the students were afraid of him. He didn't even have to speak, just standing there was enough to silence everyone. In my previous life, when no one believed me, only he comforted my helpless father. His sharp gaze swept over us. "What's going on here? The college entrance exam is just a month away, and you're trying to stir up trouble for the whole school. Vincent already got early admission, and you didn't even get that. Only an art college certificate from a third-tier school. So what are you still making a scene for?" Tiffany immediately flared up, complaining, "Director, I may be an art student, but I want to study hard too. Vincent got into Peking University, but you can't cover for him just because of that." "What cover-up? I don't cover for anyone." "Both of you, to the office. We'll clear this up." In the office, Tiffany exaggerated and twisted the events of last night. "So you're saying Vincent saw you being assaulted but ignored it. You got upset and confronted him at the school gate, and it escalated into a fight." Tiffany nodded. I replied, "First of all, I didn't hear any cries for help. Even if I had, and even if I knew it was you, helping you would have been my choice, not my obligation. Now you want to morally blackmail me. That's ridiculous." Thinking of what she did in my last life, I added, "What? Couldn't catch the real attacker? So now you're planning to accuse me of being the one who did it." I wanted to block all her escape routes this time. Tiffany's face turned red as she screamed, "You scum! How could you think that of me? And you still call yourself a top student with early admission? You're worse than a dog. No matter how angry you get, I won't admit to something I didn't see or didn't do." She lost it and tried to strangle me. The dean barked, "Enough. If you can't settle this, let's call the police. What is wrong with you two? Do you think this is the time to be playing games?" Maybe the dean was just saying that casually, but Tiffany instantly turned pale, her hands trembling. "If we call the police, my life will be over." Chapter 5. I looked at her coldly. "Since you don't want to call the police, then keep it to yourself. We're high school students. Time is precious. Don't waste it." The dean nodded. "Exactly. It's your choice. Call the police or settle this in some other way." Tiffany lowered her head, hesitating. She had made such a big scene at the school gate. Many students saw and heard it. News would spread quickly in our small town. A girl facing something like this would be pointed at and gossiped about for the rest of her life. It would be hard for her to find a husband. But more than anything, gossip is the sharpest weapon that destroys people. After thinking for a long time, she finally nodded. "Fine. Let's call the police." After an investigation, I was classified as nothing more than a passerby, not even a witness, and was immediately released. Tiffany, on the other hand, yelled in the police station. He definitely saw the attacker but chose to ignore it. He must be an accomplice. He can't be allowed to go free. The police officers looked at each other, speechless at the girl's hysteria. Vincent was just passing by. "He's not." Tiffany interrupted the officer furiously. "Don't think he's a good person just because he got into Peking University. Maybe he's working with the rapist. They probably plan to take turns on me. People like him should be locked up." She was completely unreasonable. The police shook their heads. "Stop imagining things. This is the police station. It's a place of fairness and justice. You can't just accuse people without evidence. According to your statements, this has nothing to do with Vincent, unless you have proof." I saw him glance in my direction. He definitely saw everything. The dean tried to speak for me, but I quickly gave him a look. If he spoke up now, Tiffany would definitely think he was covering for me. I looked at her steadily and said firmly, "I already told you I didn't see anything. It was dark. How can you say I saw it? Do you have X-ray vision?" "No, you definitely saw it. You're an accomplice." An accomplice. Chapter 6. The police finally lost patience. "All right, that's enough. Vincent can leave." "Tiffany, you stay for further investigation." Tiffany refused, sitting on the ground, kicking and flailing her arms like a tantrum-throwing child or a complete shrew. "You just think I'm an ordinary girl without connections and easy to bully. He saw me getting assaulted and walked away. That's just wrong. He let me suffer on purpose. Wanted to see me humiliated. People like him deserve to rot in hell. My life is already ruined. Even if it's ruined, I want to drag someone down with me. Vincent can't get away with this. I rubbed my ears, looking at her in exasperation. So just because I walked down that road, I committed a crime. I deserve to die. There were surely others passing by that night. Why don't you go accuse them? Oh, I get it. You're picking on me because I'm poor like you. No one's got my back, so you can frame me however you want. The police frowned and looked at her. Tiffany, you'd better get up and cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, your behavior might constitute obstructing official duties. That would be serious. Tiffany froze, quickly got up, and awkwardly said, I was just too emotional. I didn't mean to obstruct anything. Let's continue. Continue. I gave her a long, hard look and turned to leave. Things were already different from my previous life. I hoped everything would now stay on the right track. But the next day, just before noon dismissal, Tiffany brought the police into the school. I had just walked out of the classroom building when I saw her coming over, and I froze on the spot. The scene was exactly the same as in my last life. Was she going to put on another show? Sure enough, she blocked my way with the police. Officer, he's Vincent, the one who assaulted me the night before last. Chapter 7. I stood frozen. It had only been a day and a night since yesterday, and she had already turned into this. In the crowd, I saw Thomas, the one who actually assaulted her that night. Not far away, someone had taken out their phone and started recording. The more people gathered, the straighter Tiffany stood, as if claiming she had been assaulted was no longer something shameful, but rather something to flaunt. It was him. He was the one who tried to assault me that night. There were not only students leaving school, but also parents waiting to pick up their children, and curious passers-by craning their necks to catch some gossip. Oh my God, Vincent, the top student in our class, is a rapist. That can't be true. Yeah, he's always been polite to girls. How could this be? Some people look righteous on the surface, but are actually sinister and vile inside. Tiffany is the school belle, and now she was actually by her own classmate. The dean took them both to the police station yesterday. So this was what it was about. I don't believe Vincent would do such a thing. He's a guaranteed Peking University student with a bright future. How could he do something so disgusting? I'm on Vincent's side. Yeah, me too, honestly. Tiffany's private life has always been messy. She's dated countless guys. Who knows who she tried to seduce this time and ended up like this? Everyone was talking, but things were already different from my previous life. Last time, everyone watched me get dragged away by the police, and because I was nervous and scared, I didn't know how to defend myself. Later, Thomas spread all kinds of rumors about me online, and everyone, including my classmates, believed I was the one who assaulted Tiffany. In reality, many people knew Tiffany's private life wasn't exactly spotless. We lived in the same neighborhood, and I often saw her with different boys on the way to and from school. I should thank her for throwing a tantrum at the school gate yesterday. It gave my classmates space to think for themselves. Plus, I was much calmer than in my past life, and I knew how to explain and defend myself. Things were slowly starting to change. I looked at her calmly. Is the police station your personal playground? Yesterday, your statement was that I was just a passerby, and today, suddenly I became the perpetrator. Chapter 8. It was you who threatened me into saying that. Tiffany lied without a hint of guilt. Turning to the police. Arrest him now. The police moved forward, preparing to handcuff me. Before I could speak, a tall figure stepped between me and the police. I was also at the station yesterday. Tiffany clearly said the attacker was someone else, and now she suddenly changes her statement and wants to cuff a student without any evidence. What if this causes psychological harm to the students or misleads other students and parents? What about the serious trouble it will bring to Vincent? Tiffany's eyes filled with tears. Director, you were biased toward Vincent yesterday, and now you're still biased. If you keep protecting him like this, the real perpetrator will get away with it. The dean snapped. Is this bias? Since yesterday, you've been morally blackmailing Vincent. Now you're suddenly accusing him of threatening you, and claiming he's the attacker. Do you have any evidence? Falsifying testimony is a crime. Woo! Tiffany cried, looking toward the crowd. The two police officers exchanged looks. We are just doing our job. Teacher, please let us handle this. No one can afford to delay the investigation. We're not stopping you from doing your job. I raised my voice on purpose and scanned the crowd. I am Vincent, a student with guaranteed admission to Peking University. According to Article 236 of our criminal law, those who rape women by means of violence, coercion, or other methods shall be sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. I gave up my prime years of education, the opportunity to pursue my master's and doctorate, just to rape you. Yes, you're the school belle, but you're not remotely within my aesthetic standards. I have never liked you, and I never will. Tiffany was humiliated, trembling all over, biting her lips fiercely as she stared at me with hatred. The crowd erupted. Chapter 9. Yeah, I remember Tiffany used to like Vincent, but Vincent never paid attention to girls. He put all his focus on studying. He's the top student in our school, Always busy with competitions and studies. How could he possibly like an art student like Tiffany, who's terrible at academics? Exactly. Top students never like the type who only know how to doll themselves up. Tiffany started crying, trying to manipulate the crowd. Classmates, don't be fooled by Vincent's good student act. We live in the same neighborhood. He often talked to me on the way home, brought me breakfast, and gave me gifts, but I didn't like him. I rejected him outright. He couldn't handle the rejection and went crazy. That's why he assaulted me. Before the classmates could respond, I raised my voice. You say I liked you, brought you breakfast, and gave you gifts. Where's the evidence? What date? What time? What did I give you? You'd better be specific. Also, everything you're saying now will become court evidence in front of the teachers and the police. Tiffany sniffled, dodging the question. Officer, this person won't admit anything unless you take him away first. I turned to the police. I will cooperate with the investigation, but there's no need for handcuffs, right? Or have you already decided I'm guilty? Not yet. We're just asking you to assist with the investigation. One of the officers replied, I'll go with you, but I'll also post everything about today online. In fact, I had already registered an Instagram account yesterday, where I shared the whole story up to now. It just hadn't gone viral yet. In addition, I found a few pictures of Tiffany holding hands and kissing various boys, being overly intimate. I secretly posted them online using an alternate account. Tonight, I would continue writing posts, letting the netizens learn the truth in advance to prevent a repeat of last time. When everyone ganged up on me, the two police officers were stunned. It's your right to express yourself, but you still have to come with us now. Fine, I'll go with you. Chapter 10. Sitting in the police car, I thought back to my previous life. Back then, I was brought back to the police station in handcuffs, and Tiffany demanded a sky-high compensation of 500,000 yuan. My dad and I barely survived by selling grilled sausages at the night market. Barely enough for my tuition and living expenses. How could we possibly come up with 500,000? That was the last straw that crushed my father. With no education and no idea how to resolve the situation, he wrote a letter in his own blood, begging the school to clear my name. But even after his death, I was released, yet lost my admission to Peking University. No school wanted me anymore. I became a street rat, despised and rejected. This time, it will be different. Tiffany and I were brought into the interrogation room. The two officers left to fetch something. I studied her, making her scalp tingle. Let me guess why you suddenly changed your story. Her face tensed. Stop talking nonsense. Who changed their story? Yesterday I was only scared of your threats. That's why I said you were just a passerby. Really? I smiled faintly, staring at her. Or maybe someone came to see you. After weighing your options, you figured the Kim family's heir could give you everything you wanted. So you decided to frame me, make me the scapegoat. This way, you'd get compensation from my family and also cozy up to the young master. Two birds with one stone. Right. Her face flushed red. She stammered. Stop making things up. I didn't do that. Outside the door, I heard Thomas's voice. That phrase of his, poor loser. Don't touch my girlfriend. I would never forget. Why was he here? It wasn't hard to figure out. From the school gate to here, he really was resourceful. When the police came back inside, my eyes met Thomas's. He grinned smugly. I smiled back calmly. Chapter 11. In my previous life, I was an inexperienced minor surrounded by two officers in an interrogation room. I had been so scared, I lost all composure and couldn't think straight. Under their manipulative questioning, I was led into saying many things that were detrimental to me. This time, I had the confidence to defend myself. I wouldn't repeat the same mistake. So when they tried to guide my words, I chose not to answer. Sticking to one thing, I never saw Tiffany that night. The police grew irritated after a long time without getting anything from me. One shouted, "Do you not understand where you are? This is the police station. Keep pretending to be clueless, and when we get evidence, you'll suffer for it." Another officer tried the good cop routine. Yeah, if you admit it now, compensate her, and settle it privately. You can still go back to school like nothing happened. Isn't that better? But since the case was already filed after yesterday's report, how could it be settled privately? If I kept insisting I never saw Tiffany, sooner or later they'd have to investigate Thomas. But Thomas was the heir of the Kim family in this city. He would never let himself go to jail. His family wouldn't allow it either. So I would be the scapegoat. I looked at the officers, my expression calm and firm. The time Tiffany claims the assault happened was exactly when I was walking home from school. There's surveillance at school and at the gate of my community. It takes me about 15 minutes to walk home. But if I were to assault her, 15 minutes wouldn't be enough. Right. Besides that, I had two trump cards, public opinion online and Peking University. I would fully utilize the internet and go on the offensive, not giving them the chance to slap false charges on me. If things got worse, I would seek help from Peking University. In my last life, I hadn't thought of using online public opinion or reaching out to teachers at Peking University. I had missed my best chance. In the end, Under manipulation, I became the universally condemned perpetrator. The two police officers exchanged glances. One went out to report and returned saying, "Thank you for your cooperation. You may go." Seeing that I was about to leave, Tiffany lost it, screaming hysterically, "Why are you letting him go? He's the one who assaulted me. He must be punished. Compensation. Jail time. I won't accept anything less." "Tiffany," I looked at her coldly. "Yesterday at the station, you admitted I was just a passerby. Now you're suddenly pointing the finger at me again. Have you thought about how ridiculous and contradictory you look right now? You're acting like someone with issues." I pointed at my head. She stomped her feet and cursed. "I told you. You threatened me. Where's your proof?" She panicked, looking toward Thomas. I also glanced at Thomas. His face didn't look good either, as if he was furious, extremely angry. Chapter 12. I arrived at the school gate and waited quietly for about 10 minutes. When school let out in the afternoon, students began streaming out, and they all froze upon seeing me. I spread my arms wide and shouted, "Vincent is back." The more cheerful and carefree I acted, the more it proved my innocence. Many classmates gathered around me, bombarding me with questions. I smiled and said excitedly, "The police have thoroughly investigated it, and it has nothing to do with me." They even said they were sorry for wasting my entire afternoon. The students erupted into cheers. I skipped dinner, went outside to make calls, and contacted a professor from Peking University, telling them everything that had happened over the past few days. I also went to an internet cafe, where I posted the entire story of being called to the police station today, word for word, online. Many netizens left comments, expressing their sympathy for me, saying it was heartbreaking that I had to deal with this right before the college entrance exam, and encouraging me to stay focused and not get distracted. Some were outraged on my behalf, calling Tiffany a lunatic, but I had underestimated the situation. That very night, I was pushed onto the trending searches. High school boy assaults school belle. Uses guaranteed admission to molest female student from another class. This time, unlike my previous life, they deliberately left out the words Peking University in the headlines. They wouldn't drag Peking University into the storm, so naturally, no one from the university would step in to help me. Even if Peking University did want to assist, they wouldn't clear me based solely on one phone call. The situation on the internet spiraled even faster than I had expected. What I had posted online before was nothing but a small ripple, drawing in some sympathetic netizens. But now, with the trending headlines, countless more people saw it. Influencers on Facebook and Instagram reposted the story widely. On top of that, Tiffany posted a video using her real name, accusing me of being the rapist and claiming the school was covering for me, and even Peking University was trying to protect me. As for the real perpetrator, Thomas, he was now portrayed as a hero who had tried to step in and help. Chapter 13. Things were spiraling out of control, but compared to my past life, I was much calmer now. "It's fine. You've learned to be smart and avoided dragging Peking University into the mess. Does that mean I have no options left?" I used the time after evening self-study and after school to contact many classmates with a strong sense of justice. I interviewed them, gathering statements from over 100 students to prove my innocence. Many classmates, upon learning what had happened to me, engaged in fierce online battles with those controlling the narrative. For these passionate classmates, me being falsely labeled as a criminal wasn't just about me, it stained the reputation of the school and every student studying there. This time, I was determined to let the world see who the real victim was. It was almost midnight when I finally returned home, only to see a man claiming to be Mr. Han. Mr. Han was the father of the child my dad had saved back in the day. After hearing about my situation, he had come forward voluntarily to help. My dad, unable to find any other solution and seeing no other way out, reluctantly allowed him to assist. Mr. Han was clearly a man of influence. The car he drove was something my father could never afford. Even if he sold grilled sausages for his entire life, he listened carefully to everything I had to say, had someone record it all, and assured me that he would do everything he could to help me resolve this. The next morning, I received a call from Peking University. They told me someone had informed them of the situation and provided plenty of evidence. "If you need legal assistance, please let us know." I expressed my thanks, feeling overjoyed inside. Perfect. With the help of Mr. Han and Peking University, everything was starting to move in the right direction. When I arrived at school, some classmates were still pointing at me and whispering, but I believed only a small number were still affected. During the lunch break, Tiffany suddenly came to find me, saying she wanted to talk. I guessed she was up to some new scheme, so I smiled coldly and said, "You've already dumped a bucket of filth on me. What tricks do you still want to play? If you don't want this to keep escalating beyond your control, you'd better talk to me." Chapter 14. I curled my lips into a smirk and, from the corner of my eye, caught what looked like Thomas's figure in the distance. Without revealing anything, I said calmly, "Fine, let's talk." She led me to a place with no cameras and cut straight to the chase. Take out your phone. I want to make sure you're not recording or filming. I wasn't recording, but I had just sent a message. I showed her my phone. She smiled smugly, looking down on me. All right, let's skip the nonsense. As long as you admit to everything and compensate me with 1 million yuan, I'll agree to let you off. And why would I agree to that? Unless you want to keep getting doxxed and have your dad live in fear with you. I'll tell you straight, if you keep resisting, I'll make sure neither you nor your dad will be able to survive in this place. Forget about going to Peking University. I sneered. Quite the threat. But I've always been curious, why are you so obsessed with framing me? Just because you need a scapegoat, and I happen to be powerless, living with a father who sells sausages, so I deserve to be ruined by you. She burst into laughter, laughing so hard it took her a while to stop. You're actually asking me that? Do I need a reason to hate you? There must be a reason. She narrowed her eyes, filled with hatred. Back in freshman year, I confessed to you, and you ignored me, made me the laughingstock of the whole class. Isn't that reason enough? I thought hard for a moment. Are you talking about that time after the freshman representative speech, when you blocked my way? I just told you to move because I had a stomachache and needed to use the restroom. Her face twisted in anger. You've ignored me, the school belle, since the beginning. Do you know how humiliated I was among the classmates? Oh, and there's another reason I want to destroy you. Thomas promised me a lot of money. With that money, I won't have to worry about failing the college entrance exams. Right. Her art school scores barely passed the minimum, but her academic grades were abysmal. If you added all her subjects together, they barely matched my math score alone. Chapter 15. With that money, I can pursue my artistic dreams. I'll sign with the Kim family's entertainment company and become a superstar. I can even marry him and become the Kim group's future daughter-in-law. I couldn't help but laugh. You think a real powerful family would let their heir marry a woman like you? What do you mean by that? A woman who has poor grades, frames classmates, and has no bottom line. Do you really think the Kim family elders would ever accept someone like you? Her face froze, then turned furious. Thomas has already promised me I'll become his girlfriend. After the exams, his company will sign me. My innocence is already gone, so demanding this bit of compensation isn't too much, is it? Why do you think you can win over a rapist's heart? Because you're pretty. In the circles of the wealthy, the one thing they have in abundance is pretty girls. Once he gets bored of you, you'll end up with nothing, and you'll pay the price for framing me. Screw your karma. I never believed in karma. I only believe money can make the devil dance. She crossed her arms, eyes filled with disdain. Look at you now, aren't you the best proof? I shook my head. I really couldn't be bothered with her anymore. Since we can't negotiate, keep dreaming your little daydreams. Goodbye. Who said you could leave? She let out a strange laugh, suddenly tore open her white blouse, and shouted toward the distance. Help! Vincent is trying to assault me again. Help! Someone save me. Ha! So this is the game you want to play now. Thomas suddenly jumped out from the distance, rushing toward us, protecting Tiffany, shaking his phone in front of me. Vincent attempted to assault Tiffany again. Solid evidence. What do you have to say now? So you're both putting on a show together. Huh. So what? He sneered. Your family has no power, no connections. What can you do? But my family is different. We, the Kim Group, are a listed company. We're powerful, with vast connections. I could destroy you and no one would dare say a word. Aren't you underestimating the law just a bit too much? Heh. The law. I, Thomas, am the law. I gave a faint smile. You'll pay the price for your arrogance. Screw your price. I'm calling the police now. You won't get away this time. Thomas waved his phone, ready to call. At that moment, the voice of the dean rang out from nearby. What are you all doing here? Chapter 16. The dean and the homeroom teacher both arrived. Before my conversation with Tiffany, I had sent a message to the dean. As expected, he came, and he brought the homeroom teacher along. Thomas and Tiffany exchanged a glance, then said sternly, Director, just now Vincent tried to assault Tiffany again, but I caught him in time. Don't worry, I already recorded the evidence. This time he won't escape. Tiffany clutched her clothes tightly, playing the part of the wronged victim. Yes, Kim is right. That's exactly what happened. Vincent is so terrifying. He tried to rape me again. I don't want to live anymore. If you don't want to live, you can go die. Tiffany's mouth dropped open in shock. I silently pulled a voice recorder out of the hidden pocket of my pants. I've recorded everything you and Thomas just acted out. I also recorded it. The dean took out his phone, and on the screen was the scene of me and Tiffany. Tiffany glared at us. I knew the dean was biased toward Vincent. This proves it. You two have been working together to trap me, haven't you? The dean said coldly. I am only standing on the side of justice, with both video and audio evidence. It would be difficult for Tiffany to twist the facts now. I immediately called the police. At the same time, Mr. Han had already retrieved the dashcam footage from the scene of the incident. It clearly showed that the attacker was Thomas, and the victim was Tiffany. On the day of the trial, Peking University's legal team defended me. not only clearing me of all charges but also forcing Tiffany and Thomas to publicly apologize and pay compensation for emotional damages. The truth was finally revealed. The 2 police officers who tried to coerce and mislead me were also severely punished. I was proven to have been just a passerby who never even witnessed Tiffany being assaulted. After being raped by Thomas, Tiffany, under pressure from the Kim family, repeatedly framed me, staged false scenes, and tried to destroy me. Thomas was nicknamed Clown Boy and shot to the top of the trending searches. Netizens furiously condemned Tiffany and Thomas, doxing their family backgrounds and gathering at their homes to curse them, throwing rotten vegetables. Their parents didn't even dare step outside. Tiffany was sentenced to prison for false accusation and extortion. Thomas was also sentenced for rape. Thomas's scandal grew worse, severely affecting the Kim group. The Kim family's parents publicly announced they were severing ties with their son, but less than 3 months later, the Kim group was investigated for tax evasion, food poisoning, and several other issues. The Kim group stock plummeted and the company was completely ruined. Meanwhile, I had already become a student at Peking University. I was deeply grateful for my father's act of bravery back then. Without him, I wouldn't have received Mr. Han's help. Later, I learned that the boy my father had saved was actually the nephew of the dean. Good and evil will always be repaid. I wouldn't let Tiffany's incident scare me from helping others ever again. But from now on, when I helped people, I would make sure to leave evidence, so I could not only save others but also protect myself from false accusations. I believe the world is still a beautiful place.